Our analysis shows that during the first 48 days of testing in the U.S., we tested an average of 40 people a day. You said that America would be around the 4 million test mark by mid-March. You later said that referred to tests distributed, not administered. Was your testing claim misleading?
Well, I don't think it was misleading in the least, and as we sit here today, because of the public-private partnership that President Trump organized in the early days after I was tapped to lead the White House coronavirus task force in late February. We now have tested nearly 7.5 million Americans, and it's because the president has marshaled all the resources of the commercial labs around the country, and it's really been an extraordinary accomplishment for our nation. The truth is, we had an old system. There may have been a lot of tests out there, but the ability for public state labs or for the CDC to process those tests was very slow, very arcane. But when the president brought those vast commercial labs to bear, like have been doing tens of thousands of tests in Colorado, it changed the game. And now Colorado and states across the country are expanding testing very rapidly. We're doing more than 250,000 tests a day. And every state in America is in a position today to begin to open up their economies again in a phased approach, because we have the level of testing necessary to test people that have symptoms, but also to deploy testing resources to nursing homes, long-term care, and other vulnerable populations.
Police have increased protection for public health officials outside of Denver after a threat of shooting and a civil war if they didn't lift public health orders. The FBI arrested a man in northern Colorado. They say he had pipe bombs. He'd been bragging online about his weapons and talking about going to a reopened Colorado rally. I know we've all seen those images of armed protesters outside and inside state capitals. Are you concerned about the threat of violence from Americans who are angry about the public health orders?
Well, I must tell you that the American people know that America works when America's working. And I think that's why the people of Colorado have welcomed Governor Jared Polis's efforts to begin to reopen portions of your economy. And as people exercise their First Amendment rights and express a desire to have their states go back to work, I truly do believe that they're doing so in the best spirit of this country. But this has been a challenging time in the life of our nation. The American people have made the kind of sacrifices, have heeded the guidance of federal and state authorities in ways that have undoubtedly saved lives. I mean, it's remarkable to think that when the president was making the decision to call on the American people to literally avoid restaurants, gatherings of more than 10, to work from home, the 15 days that would become 45 days to slow the spread. There were some estimates that we would see more than 1 million casualties from the coronavirus in this country. And today, we grieve for the loss of more than 70,000 Americans. Our prayers on this National Day of Prayer are with all the families who have loved ones struggling with the coronavirus. But because of what the people of Colorado have done, because of what the American people have done, there's no question we've saved lives, we've slowed the spread, and now we're in a position to be able to utilize the resources that we have marshaled along the way to assist states to step forward and to reopen. And I think that's all a reflection of the strong sentiment the American people have to get back to work.
Mr. Vice President, in our short time remaining, a question about voting by mail. Republicans and Democrats in Colorado have run secure and fair mail-in elections here. The president has said that voting by mail, as both he and you have done, is ripe for widespread voter fraud. Our former Republican Secretary of State went looking for that voter fraud and couldn't find it here. So why fight this safer way for people to vote?
Well, elections, as you know, are governed on a state-by-state level all across America. And there are instances, there certainly were in the state of Indiana, of fraud involving absentee ballots and absentee voting, and there have been prosecutions in the last election for that. I think the president just wants to make sure that we always protect that sacred right of one person, one vote in America. And we really do believe, as we continue to make great progress as a nation, not only in Colorado but all across this country, in dealing with the coronavirus. We're seeing the West Coast, where this first manifested, the numbers can continue to be low and steady, even where we had dramatic, heartbreaking impacts in the greater New York City area, New Orleans, Detroit. Numbers are declining, hospitalizations are going down across the country. We really believe that as the American people continue to safely and responsibly take steps toward reopening, that we'll be able to return to much normal life in this country over the course of the summer, and that Americans will be able to participate in all of our great traditions, including going down to that local precinct place next November and casting a ballot safely.
Mr. Vice President, thank you for your time. Thank you for taking questions from local journalists. I hope you and your family stay well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.